problem that runs with the business and then the IT. Pwede na din kanang gitawag nila collaborative research. But anyway, later on or kanang sa inyong higher na mga scores, you can have those things. But this time, let's focus on the IT na side. Okay? So, can you get a like if you're ready to listen for our lesson for today? Share screen, share screen, share screen. Okay, this time we're going to talk about the research design or how we're going to design our research. Unsaon nato siya pag-flow or unsay dagan sa research karon nato in computing. Okay, so let me have this definition first. If we're going to say quantitative design, we're going to take or we are going to make a research that will deal with numbers or kanang gitawag lang numerical data. And we are going to use some statistical analysis for those data. This includes what we call a survey, mag-experiment, or kanang gitawag nilang longitudinal studies. Now, take note, quantitative design from the word quantity, meaning kadaghanon, it talks about numbers. Okay? So this is type of research, usually, kanang bitaw sa mga survey or experiments. You can have also experiment or kanang longitudinal studies. Example, kadungog naman ang Pulse Asia survey or Pulse Asia research. Kana sa Pulse Asia. Who among you here can you get right kung paano nakadungog na kita og Pulse Asia? Pulse Asia. Pulse Asia usually use a what we call quantitative design. Okay, because nag-deal sila og numbers and statistical analysis. Now, how this example ani sa Pulse Asia kana bitaw moingon sila pila ka buok Pilipino ang walay trabaho. Meaning pila ka buok, meaning ginakount nila. So, that is a what we call quantitative design or quantitative nga research. Iyang pamaagi ana ginaihap. And they are going to use the statistical analysis. Di ba nag-ingon sila nga pila ka buok Pilipino ang walay trabaho. Moingon sila og 30 out of 10. 30 out of 10. 30 out of 100. Kani sila walay mga trabaho. Take note, 30 is a number, is a numerical data, and 100 is a numerical data. So 30 out of 100 mo na sila ang mga walay trabaho. Then, giyon sa man nila pag-arrive na, they just use or what we call the statistical analysis. Dili man pwede or di posible man gani ma-interview tanan mga Pilipino, pero it will requires a lot of resources or dugay sila mahuman. So that's why they have what we call analysis or statistical analysis. Nang ilagay pangutana, you already encounter this one during in your senior high school. Okay? So nag-survey sila. Kana bitawng kanang ingon nila nga pila ka buok is gikan sa taguluan because finding that output or finding that knowledge is a research or kinahanglan sa research. So that's why they're going to use a quantitative design. You get my point? Can I get a like if you understand? Okay? Basta mag-talks about numbers and with statistical analysis, that is what we call a quantitative. From the word quantity, pila ka buok. Design, meaning mo na yung pamaagi sa pag-research. Ginaihap-ihap. Now, qualitative design or kanang gitawag na qualitative research talks about non-numerical, meaning daily numbers ang ginahisgutan. Pero makuha na nila because of interview, case studies, or thematic analysis. Thematic analysis meaning connection of two things. I mean, unsay relationship ani nga panghitabo sa kani nga butang. That is thematic analysis. Now, example for the quantitative design, kana bitaw moingon sila, what is or you're going to conduct a research for the history of the Philippines. Pag-research pa lang or pag ang pagdagan ana sa research, qualitative design ang ginagamit diha. Because they talks about non-numerical. Kaya nag-interview sila, wala man nila giihap pila ka book ang mga Pilipino, kundi ilang ihap or ilang i-research kung asa jud gikan ang Pilipinas, unsa ang sinugdanan sa Pilipinas. So, those data kanang mga gipang-gather nila, that is a non-numerical and that is what we call a qualitative design. You get my point? Can I get a like if you understand? Okay? So, kana po, ingon sila mag-research sila sa history sa Taguluan. That is what we call a qualitative. Quality or quali, unsay mga basta non-numerical. And then, there are or some of the research use what we call a mixed methods. It's a combination of quantitative and qualitative. Okay? So, it's either they were going to conduct a numerical data gathering. Mangutana sila, pila ka book ang nalipay nga Pilipino karon. And if we're going to say qualitative design na yun, nganong nalipay man? Because explaining or explaining those data nga nganong nalipay sila tungod ani, dili man na siya number. So, that includes the qualitative design na yun. So, pag ihap pa lang daan, quantitative na, and then, naibay uban nga qualitative. You get my point? Can I get a like if you understand? Okay, thank you. So, by the way, kaning quantitative design nga research, this research is kanang para sa mga gitawag nga mga social science nga mga kurso. Like for example, kana sa mga um, by the way, sa business, kaya lang ilang mga research, quantitative ra na siya because they're going to talk about numbers. Kaning qualitative design, kasagara, kung diri sa TCC, ang gagamit ani kanang sa arts and sciences, kanang sa sociology. Because they were going to interview peoples and they were going to explore places. Nabitong ilang kung anong unsay mga life and kuan sa mga native or kanang gitawag nila mga tribo. Ila man ang interview, dili man nila ihapon. So qualitative ang ilang ginagamit nga design. Now, kita sa mga IT or anything nga mga kuan sa computing field, atong ginagamit kasagara likely is kanang mixed methods. Because we are going to use the developmental or kanang gitawag natong system-based design. So take note kung pangutan-on mo sunod or puhon, what is the type of research that you are going to do as an IT? Mixed method kasagara. Ano man mixed methods man? Because we are going to use qualitative design or qualitative research to get or to gather the in-depth insight of the stakeholders. These stakeholders can be called as what we call, can be considered as kanang gitawag nito client or sa uban pa, respondents. Okay? So, sample, the staff, the students, magkwenta og qualitative ana kay pangutan-on man nato sila unsa ilang gusto nga buhaton or unsa ilang gusto nga mahitabo sa atong software nga atong buhaton. Okay? So, we're going to have an interview or what we call the focus group discussion. Ato silang kuanon yun, unsa ilang gusto nga pamaagi. So example, for the enrollment process, unsa may patong pag-design ana. So gamit ta og qualitative because ato man na silang designon or ato man na silang pangitaon unsa joy bagay or unsa joy para jud anang enrollment system. And finding those things, we are going to use a qualitative approach or kanang gitawag nilang pamaagi. You get my point? Can I get a like if you understand? Or through observation. Kanang yung ikaw mismo ang moobserbar kung unsay mga current problem or challenges sa enrollment process karon. Okay? So, kung saan man jud inyong kuan, mabuhat sa enrollment system. For example, if you're going to look at here in TCC, nga buhatan ninyong software nga maka-solve sa anang dugay mag-evaluate, sa pagpa-evaluate, buhatan yung software, so you're going to use a qualitative approach. Dili man kung maggamit og quantitative kay ihapon ninyo unsa pila ka book estudyante nga gusto or pila ka book mga gusto nga estudyante nga magpapaspas. Although that is the main target ninyo mga papaspas, pero dili man niyo ihapon, nga ihapon ninyo kung saon pagpapaspas. Kung dili, kuhanon ninyo, interviewon ninyo or obserbahan ninyo kung saan ninyo inyong magpapaspas sa enrollment system. And take note, we can gather, meaning magkuha na to ng mga data using interviews or observation. In your next step sa kanang pag-conduct yung research, you're going to conduct or you're going to do an interview or kanang gitawag nila focus group discussion or focus group interview para makuha ninyo inyong client kung unsa jud ang ilang gusto nga mahitabo sa ilang process or kanang problema nga ilang gusto ma-solve. Do you get my point? Can I get a like if you understand? Okay? So after we can or after having a qualitative, take note mixed method man ta, so we are going to do also the quantitative at the same time. So in the quantitative, we were going to measure and evaluate our system performance. This system performance talks about our developed nga mga software or develop nato nga network or whatsoever. For example, we are going to determine the effectiveness or the accuracy, efficiency, accuracy, and satisfaction of our software. And we are going to use commonly or likely quantitative. Na unsaon man nato na sila through survey or kanang magpadagan taw questionnaire. Okay, we're going to distribute that to the students and to staff. So, ang kaning lugar imong cost questionnaire nga nahatag sa ila, na sila gitawag ng rate. Example, from 1 to 10, how you're going to describe the satisfaction level of the newly developed software. So, measuring those things, you're nag-talks mag number, so that's why that is what we call a quantitative approach na dayon. Okay? So usually, kung ka mag-research na mo, after nga ma-develop ninyo inyong program, ang inyong system, ng inyong software, haya din mo magpadagan og quantitative research. Take note, we're going to conduct a survey or kana magpadagan mo questionnaire. You get my point? Can I get a like if you understand? Okay? So this questionnaire is used for para makuha nila inyong ease of use. And take note, not just counting or not just numerical data. We are going to do also a statistical analysis. Or kanang gitawag lang statistical. Because ato man na silang i-compute dayon. Unsa ang ilang satisfaction level from 1 to 10. I-average na to, or to mean, median, or both. I hope that you read or you remember how statistics works from your high school. Remember pa mag-statistics ninyo? Or nakagi mo statistics, guys? Sa senior high school ninyo? Kagi? Anyway,
Malimot.
simple naman.
Yes, sir.
Nalimot lang. Sige lang. But anyway, we're going to do the statistics of this. Take note, that's why we have the mixed method research or kanang nilang design, pamaagi sa atong pag-research gamit of what we call a mixed method. Mixed method of one qualitative and mix and the quantitative. Always remember, sa kanang pag-gather, pagbuhat nato atong design, that is in the qualitative approach. And then, ang pag-measure nato sa atong product or sa atong software na buhat, that is a quantitative approach na yun. You get my point? Can I get like if you understand? Okay? So, usually, ang quantitative, kamo man yung ginabuhat karon sa BSBA, EDOC, and some of the programs. Muna nang ingon nila nga sa BSBA o sa EDOC, simple ra ilang research because they just use a quantitative. Ihap-ihap ra na sila. Kita sa mga IT, we do both things. Mag-ihap-ihap o mag-interviews or kanang gitawag natong in-depth gathering, data gathering. So, basi nagmahay mo nga IT yung gipili, sumom ni siya kasagara. You get my point? So, swerte kayo mo kay mas lisod ang inyong research. Compare. Kung makabantay mo kung namo yung mga ate, kuya, or kuyab baka or kuan kaila sa EDOC, BSBA, quantitative ra nakasagara ang ilang ginabuhat. Although, they do qualitative. Kaya mag-interview din sila kung unsay kuan. Pero usually, magudya, karon sa TCC, quantitative ra sila. So, pasalamat mo, lisod inyo. And also, developing a program, kanang pagbuhat mismo sa program requires a qualitative approach because you're going to take the time to gather an information. Unsaon na siya pagbuhat. So those information na mag-gather nino is not just in a form of numbers, but in a form of idea. So mo na inyong gamiton para pakabuhat og program, and then kung na may program, aya din natin i-evaluate using what we call quantitative approach. Do you get my point? Can I get a like if you understand? Okay. Okay. So by the way, nakoy mga advisory or kanang kapatabang sa amo diri gikan sa BSBA o sa EDOC. Dali raman ila because quantitative raman jud ila. Kasagara ang kaning sa engineering o IT medyo dugay-dugay din mo man because we're going to do a program using qualitative and we're going to do a simple. Di man kayo siya kuan nga complicated nga research or nga statistic. So at least we can do some data gathering using numerical data. And usually, ang ilang giingon, statistics is a language of research. Mo jud na ang kuan sa quantitative. Dapat makuan mo og makabalo mo or maayo mo, di man sad maayo. At least you have the idea how to use statistical tools. Siguro ka remember po na gitawag mean median mode. Bantay mo ana, ka-remember pa mo the mean median mode.
Yes, sir.
At least those things you can use that in our research. Okay? Now, we have here the phases kasagara sa IT. Kanang gitawag natong unsay mga butang nga gikuan. Sa uban nga mga research, ang ilang ginabuhat is na ay planning, problem identification, hypothesis, experimental, conclusion, findings, and recommendation. If you still remember in your senior high school, mo na kasagara ang ginabuhat nga research. But in IT, we have these phases. First is we have what we call analysis and requirement gathering. So the needs analysis and requirement data gathering, this is the first phase nga itong kinamabuhat kung mag-conduct ng research. In this phase here, we can identify what are our problems that we are going to solve. And what are the things that we need to do kung sa ito pwede mabuhat ang atong problem. So diya na to siya ma-identify sa first phase. You get my point? Can I get a like if you understand? Okay? So, this is the first phase. Second phase is we are going to do the system design and prototyping. This time, we are going to make a blueprint or kanang gitawag nitong plan sa atong buhaton. Plan or kanang gitawag nila blueprint. Kana bitong plano, blueprint. And usually, the phase 3 is kanang gitawag na itong system development. Mao na nini ang pinakaganahan nga part sa mga IT kay mag-coding na rin sila or kanang gitawag nila magbuhat na yun og program. If you're going to do with software development and other field. And next is we are going to test and evaluate. Testing and evaluation is we are going to find kung unsa ba ang mga bugs, kanang gitawag nilang errors, and we're going to evaluate kung pwede na ba yun siya for the final phase nga system implementation. Meaning, ipagamit na dayon. Okay? So, if you done this one, you were going to create a new software or kanang gitawag nilang new solution or new system, and those things is what we call a product of IT or kanang gitawag na to computing research na dayon. Do you get my point? Can I get like it if you understand? Okay. So in the phase 1 is we are going to involve understanding what is the need. This need is what we call pag-identify kung saan yung problema. And the stakeholders, unsa ba jud ang ilang ma-encounter, unsa ba jud ilang gusto mapapaspas, unsa ba ilang gusto ma-achieve, ma-solve or whatsoever. Kung magbuhat ta for our software. Okay? So kung magbuhat mo network, unsa man jud iyang goal? Or kanang pagbuhat ninyo mga multimedia, unsa ba iyang goal? So that is in the research or kanang gitawag nila needs for the analysis and the requirement gathering. And we're going to do also the review of the related literature usually in this phase. Because in this phase, we are going to understand what are the existing solution. Kung iunsa din nila pagbuhat ang ilang software, iunsa nila pagbuhat ang ilang mga um, network plan, and the technologies, unsay mga gipanggamit nila. Gamit ba sila Java, C, Python, and whatsoever. And the methodologies in the similar projects nga imong mabuhat nga naay same nga problema. Same problem but different na client or stakeholders. Okay? So methodologies, by the way, is we're going to discuss this in your next course na dayon. Na ay mga software methodologies ka gitawag nila nga system development life cycle. By the way, if we have enough time, we're going to deal with these methodologies because this is the most important thing as an IT graduate nga may bawaan dyan niya. Methodologies, methods of making a program. Unsay pamaagi dyan sa pagbuhat dyan sa software. Okay? So, again, in the phase 1, mo ni siya mga activity nga kasagara nga kakakita ko. To identify the problem and to have the review of the related literature. Again, literature meaning what is existing or unsay nahitabo dyan. In the second phase, usually in our IT research sa atong field, this involves the system design na dayon or kanang gitawag nila prototyping. If you're going to know what is prototyping, mura siya bitaw nagbuhat ka og isa ka butang nga working na siya. Magamit na or working siya. Pero dili pa siya final. Kay dili pa siya mauna jud ang yang final or kanang yang output. But magamit na. That is what we call a prototyping or prototype. Okay, so this phase involves in creating architectural blueprint for the software. And here, designer focus on how the system will meet the identified problem. And these activities include kanang gitawag nila system architectural design or we are going to make the blueprint of our program or system. Now, you're going to outline the structures, component modules, and data flow. If you still remembers in yung IT 101, naamoy gitawag nga flowchart, right? Can you remember man ang flowchart? Okay, so in this activity, you're going to make a flowchart of your design. Like for example, what is the step 1? It's just a design lang. Dili siya nga i-code na jud ninyo because that is in the next phase man. Unsay iyang kwan sa inyong kwan, sa inyong program. Step 1, mag-login ba siya? Step 2, mag-kwan ba siya, mag-verify ba sa username or unsa may inyong i-design yun? Or unsa inyong kwan, aya pa ba adto sa homepage before mag-login or whatsoever. Inyong i-design na, inyo nang i-define using some of the technology. Flowchart is one of the tools for making the architecture design. If you still remember ka na bitong gitawag nga ERD sa inyong database, what is ERD? Guys? Entity Relationship Diagram. Kanang sa atong para sa database. We're going to make an ERD. Unsay mga data nga dapat ma-capture sa inyong program or software. So, we're going to design this kind of database. Dapat inani ang iyang data type and whatsoever. Take note design pa lang na siya. Because those design will guide you for the next phase na dayon. Also, it includes the user interface design. If you're going to make this sa inyong phase 2, mag-drawing mo or mag-design mo nga unsa may itsura sa inyong program o inyong software nga mabuhat. Like for example, unsa ba yung style? Diri bang logo, some text, or unsa ba inyong gamiton nga text box or whatsoever. Mag-design mo niya unsay inyong magamit. And take note, the review of related literature is one way to identify the patterns. Meaning, manguha ka or base ta sa uban nga mga nabuhat na. Because kabuhat naman sila. We're going to base our kuan. Pero we need to create our own. And this includes also kanang gitawag nilang user interface. Unsa ba jud siya? Instead nga magamit kag text box, gamit pa kag combo box or whatsoever. Depende sa inyong mabuhat or depende sa inyong ma-design nga depende sa problem na inyong na-encounter. You get my point? Can I get a like if you understand? Okay? Or also, you can do a prototyping. Kung kanang sa inyong kuan sa networking, magbuhat na mo og prototype nga kani siya nga microcontroller or kanang gitawag small computer, connect na mo ni siya sa modem. Kanang modem na to. Then, aday antenna. This antenna is used for amplifying the signal and whatsoever. Take note, prototyping is just a basic working or gagamit na siya, pero dili pa siya final yun. Okay? So, it's just ikuan. Muna pa siya mag-drawing mo ani nga face. And take note, in this phase, you're going to use that for the next part na dayon. The phase 3 is the system development. This time, you're going to implement your system design. Based from your phase 2 ninyo, di ba, design man mo kung unsa nga database, diya na dayon ninyo, i-code na dayon. So, mo siya nga database, i-code na ninyo. Mo siya nga interface, text box, combo box, buttons, or whatsoever. Mo na ni siya. Usually, some of the mga program karon na anay back-end development, which is kanang para sa server, and then na ay front-end development. Now, I want you to create or to have your kung mag-software development mo, requirements na namo karon nga dapat na ay back-end and front-end development. Okay? If you don't have the idea yet on the front-end and the back-end development, that's the time that you're going to do a self-study na yun. And integration of the front-end and the back-end. So, diyan na din mo, magbuhat mo code ninyo, i-code na din ninyo. And you're going to adopt the efficient coding practices using the RRL. Kasagara sa mga coding practices, gagamit ang mga frameworks or gagamit yun ng mga libraries. Like for example, If you're going to do a mobile app, kagamit sila og kanang gitawag nga framework or like framework, React Native. By the way, this just a framework, React Native. React Native is all about JavaScript para na siya. So man ilang ginagamit. So gamit ang React Native for the mobile development and for the server. Pwede mo mogamit og mga bisan unsa PHP, Python, or even JavaScript. Now, this technology, kung weirdo ni sa inyo, the server, the mobile, the React Native, the PHP, this is the time that you're going to do a self-study na yun. Okay, kamo naman ang magbuhat sa inyong program. Okay, kung nagamit, based sa inyong RRL, nagamit sila og front-end, ganay React Native, inyo nang i-search kung sa din ang React Native. Unsa din na ang PHP, unsa nang Express. Okay? So, kamo na din ang magbuhat ana. You get my point? Can I get a like if you understand? Okay? So, usually, in the coding, di na rin makabuhat or di rin na rin magdugay or dugay mahuman ang isa ka research. If wala yun ninyo isugay ang inyong spaces. Usually, ang mga kahitabo karon sa mga research is they are going to do a system design at the same time they just doing the coding. Code sila dito nga walay design, dugay jud na siya mahuman. Whereas kung nanay design, nana mo ikuan nga sa imo na buhaton, dili ra dayon code ana. You get my point? Can I get a like if you understand? Okay, pero wala. Nagkatubig. Okay. And the fourth phase is what we call the testing and evaluation. Usually, these four phases, three phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, is na as a qualitative phase or qualitative approach. Qualitative ang ginagamit niya. Whereas, in the testing and evaluation, this is the time that we are going to use the quantitative approach na yun. Quantitative approach. Because we are going to deal with how the program works. Take note, testing, ato siyang ikuan nga, unsa ba yun ang iyang mga na-encounter nga mga bugs or unsa ba. Then, evaluation, we're going to conduct a survey. Kung pwede na ba yun siya. Usually, we just use the unit testing. Sa unit testing, you're going to test every components, every functionality sa atong program or sa atong software nga nabuhat, aton silang i-test, aton silang tagsa-tagsaon pagtuklok. Kung na ba gitawag nga bugs or errors nga mo arise or kanang gitawag nila nga say kung na sa bugs and error tawag. Bugs and errors. And also, we're going to do the integration testing. We're going to ensure the front end and the back end are continuously or kanang gitawag nila ga-work ba yun sila sa ilang part. And we are going to use or to have the user acceptance testing. This time, we are going to do the quantitative na din ani. Atong ipa-survey or atong ipa-gamit sa atong mga client or stakeholders and they were going to rate kung unsa ba ang ilang satisfaction level. So that is the user acceptance testing. And we're going to do these things or we are going to discuss these things in our midterm after our midterm diet. Okay? And lastly, the last part is we are going to do the implementation. Meaning, ipagamit na dayon ng inyong program na dayon. And we are going to have the deployment. Meaning, we are going to let the user use the program in their daily operation. And kung mahimo, optional kasagara ang training but music, Mo ni siyang user password, mo ni siya, mo ni siya, mo ni siya. And we are going to provide a documentation for them to kuan kanang kaapan sila kung unsay sunod buhaton after mag-login. And usually, some of the software na ka nang gitawag nilang monitoring for the post-launch issues or kanang gitawag nilang for improvement purposes. Okay? So those are the implementation or the phase of the IT research. So the question is, are you ready to do these things? Ready now? Are you ready? Ready? Ready. Can I get the like if you understand these phases? So ayaw mo hadlock because we're going to do this or we're going to guide you kung saan yung mabuhaton. Okay? Now, for your midterm project, as I told you that you're going to propose your title together with your literature. So the deadline for that actually is on November 4. Take note ha, November 4, dapat na naamoy problem ninyo. Now, kung wala pa jud mo'y maunaan, nag-November 4 na, hapit na, please approach me. I can help. And pwede ra mo modol sa kuha. I'm going to give you the idea and the title kung pwede ninyo nga makuha. Okay? Anytime kung adi man ko busy. So, pwede mo abdol sa kuha kung unsa ba jud inyong gusto nga buhaton. Or you can approach any instructor. You can have an idea out from them. Because daghan kay may problema. Basin gusto mo mga mangayo. You get my point? Kaya kung gusto mo problema ay daghan kay ni. Okay? So, in November 4, you're going to have your title and research literature. And don't worry, dili pa na ninyo buhaton karon. Sunod na. Buhaton gyapon ninyo. Okay? So, any question regarding on this research phases? And take note remember these things because this will be asked during kung maka-encounter mo sa ang gitawag nila thesis or research defense. Mo ni siya kasagara ang pangutana dayon. What are your research approach or research design or research approach? Unsa ninyo pag-research? Gamit mo ba quantitative or qualitative? And what are your steps in the research design? Unsa inyong gipangbuhat ana nga mga cases? Okay? So, please remember this one because this will be asked during the dialogue sa inyong research defense. Okay? So, any question regarding in this lecture or our topic today? If none, so I hope that you learned something new out from this slide. By the way, lastly, kung mahimo bitaw, naman ko yung i-discuss diri regarding in this technology. What is React Native? Kung gusto jud mo magbuhat ka ng mobile apps bitaw, I think wala pa man siguro mo gitudloan ang mobile development ron. Pero kung gusto jud mo, interesado jud mo, we have or daghan kayo available sa tutorial sa YouTube or even sa mga free courses karon available sa internet. You can watch it free. Kay swerte gani kay mo karon kusog ang internet ug daghan kayo available. Ayan na mo pag Netflix kay ang Netflix it consume how many hours sa isa ka movie. Whereas kung tan-aw ra mag tutorial or magsubay mag tutorial it will just take mga 5 hours dili sa straight kun dili putol-putol siya. Mga 5 hours makatuon na din mo. Or kung mahimo i-lessen na inyong pagdula ay Mobile Legend and focus on doing the research na dayon. Kay these things this is not just for your academic requirements. Dili lang ni para maka-graduate mo, kundi para makatuon mo. Kaya kung pag-graduate ninyo, take note, kung kabalo mo sa inyong kurso, ang trabaho o ang opportunity maglakag sa inyo. Dili kay kamo ang mangitag opportunity. Kay pag abot din na sa panahon, kaya din mo magmayo nga wala ba nagitundo sa eskwelahan. Kay kung kabalo lang ta ang eskwelahan nagtudlo unsaon mo para magtuon. Dili kay gitudloan mo unsa ang kinahanglan niyo pag mga knowledge nga basic knowledge lang ang inyong maibawan. You get my point? Can I get like if you understand? Okay. So I think this ends our topics now. If you have some question, please send me or see me in our office or you can chat in our messenger na lang. Kimbrag na problema ang email karon sa TCC. Okay? So, please, um, study and enjoy lang ang pag-eskwela. Okay? So, have a nice day and bye-bye. By the way, attendance Don't forget your
Bye, sir.
attendance. Attendance,
Bye,
attendance. Take a
sir.
screenshot.